A few weeks ago, I ranked all 11 of the LEGO Star Wars sets from the now defunct Helmet Collection. Today, I'm going to rank all the sets from the series that might be taking its place, the Starship Collection. However, only 3 sets have been released under this banner. But if you go back into the history of LEGO Star Wars, a few more builds in this Midi-scale style have been released. The sets eligible today are the 2009 Midi-scale Millennium Falcon, the 2010 Midi-scale Star Destroyer, the 2020 Nebulon B Frigate, and the 2023 Super Star Destroyer, plus of course the aforementioned 2024 sets. Without further ado, let's begin the countdown. Disclaimer, this video is as of March 2024. If LEGO continues to make these sets in the future, I'll update my ranking accordingly. Number 7, 75376, Tantive 4. Unfortunately, one of the 3 new additions to this list finds itself all the way back in last place. I'm a big fan of the Tantive 4 as a vehicle, and it's one of the most iconic ships in Star Wars. However, LEGO fumbled the bag with a few key details here. For starters, the head is just way too small, not representing the in-universe ship well. Secondly, the top middle is kinda flat. Just look at the model from the 1977 film. There's a lot more depth there. Finally, the price of $80 for only 654 pieces is just disgusting. Not worth it in the slightest. Something had to come in last place, and this deserves to be down here all by itself. Number 6, 7778, Midi-scale Millennium Falcon. The one that started it all. Released in 2009, this set pioneered the way for future Midi-scale Star Wars ships. Sadly for this model in particular, LEGO managed to improve their designs quite a bit. While I love the affordable price of only $40 here, the shaping is quite blocky, and some key details such as the cockpit piece are accomplished via stickers. This is an important set for sure, but not really a great one. Number 5, 8099, Midi-scale Imperial Star Destroyer. Slightly ahead of the OG Falcon is the sequel to that set, the 2010 Midi-scale Star Destroyer. This set is a prime candidate for LEGO to remake next year, and the old design looks pretty good. I especially like the use of binocular pieces as the cannons, and the shaping is done pretty well. Sure, it still feels a bit dated, and the gap down the middle isn't super aesthetically pleasing, but overall this set is solid, especially for something 14 years old. Number 4, 75377, Invisible Hand. I waited 19 years for this set. I know that might sound a bit hyperbolic, but it's true. I've always wanted the Invisible Hand as an official LEGO set, ever since its first appearance in Revenge of the Sith all the way back in 2005, and I finally got it. If I'm being honest, I wasn't completely thrilled to see it in this scale, but I'll take what I can get at this point. And what I got is a darn good set. The build is very strong, has awesome techniques, and fun little details. The only reason it's not higher on this list is simply because of how fabulous the 3 remaining sets are, not because this set is lacking anything. Number 3, 75375, Millennium Falcon. The only Midi-scale model to ever get a remake, the latest smaller version of the Millennium Falcon is a true revelation when compared to the original. Firstly, the major sin of sticker-laden details the 2009 rendition had is completely gone. All printed parts here. God bless. Second, the design is just brilliant. Subtle angles, expert greebling, and tremendous part usage make this one of the finer Midi-scale ships they've ever done. Number 2, 75356, Executor Super Star Destroyer. While not officially a part of the quote-unquote Starship Collection, 75356 essentially started this new trend of Midi-scale ships. The reason I preferred this one to the others is simple, because it finally gave us an affordable way to acquire such an iconic vessel. Before this set, The only LEGO Super Star Destroyer ever produced was the UCS version in 2011. That set cost a whopping $400 upon release 13 years ago, a number that is $540 plus when adjusted for inflation. As someone who was just entering their teenage years back then, there was absolutely no chance I could ever afford this set, and I don't think my parents are going to fork over that much for one single LEGO product. Additionally, now that it's long retired, good luck finding it for anything less than like 4 digits. I'm being serious, it has gone up crazy in value. But as a massive fan of Star Wars and the original trilogy, not having this Imperial flagship always bothered me. But LEGO finally gave me and a lot of others a chance to acquire this vehicle, and only for $70 too. The model itself is also just a beauty, and it's surprisingly decently sized at that. It also ushered in a new wave of Midi-scale ships, so it feels fitting for it to be towards the top of this list. So, what could possibly beat that? Well, there is one rather interesting set with a bizarre backstory. Number 1, 77904, Nebulon B Frigate. If you're just now getting into LEGO Star Wars, you might be scratching your head at this one. The release of this set was anything but normal. Before I tell the story of the smaller model, I believe we should mention the Nebulon B Frigate's brief run at a UCS set in 2020. In mid-2020, LEGO held a fan poll of what vehicle should be made into an Ultimate Collector Series Star Wars set. There were 3 options: the TIE Bomber, Republic Gunship, and Nebulon B Frigate. Unsurprisingly, Star Wars prequels fans, including myself, took over the poll and guided the Republic Gunship to a landslide victory. But the runner-up for this was none other than the Nebulon B Frigate, a classic Rebel vehicle that had never been represented in LEGO form. Some original trilogy fans backed the creation of the frigate for a UCS set, and even though it lost that fight, it wouldn't be long until their dream of an official LEGO model for this vehicle would be fulfilled. However, this new Midi-scale version of the ship was a dreaded Comic-Con exclusive. For those of you who are unaware, Comic-Con sets tend to be extremely hard to find, seeing as they are only sold at one location with a very limited quantity. Of course, then, scalpers and resellers have a field day, charging exuberant prices for them. However, oddly enough though, the pandemic saved this from happening to the Nebulon B Frigate. Sort of. While 2020 was a pretty hellish time for a lot of us, this is actually an oddly kind of good thing that happened because of it. At this time, obviously, the world was in lockdown, and San Diego Comic-Con was canceled in the summer of that year. Because of this, LEGO was no longer able to sell these sets at the in-person convention, so they did the next best thing, listing them on Amazon and LegoShop.com for a brief period in November of 2020. Now, there was still a limited number made, but for the first time ever, a Comic-Con exclusive set was made available to the general public, alongside the Black Widow set also from that year. I was fortunate myself to get my hands on 2 of these, one for myself and one as a gift for my brother. Now, the price is still pretty crazy. The set was $40, is now worth upwards of $150, but it would have been a lot worse if they were only available at Comic-Con itself. This special release of the Nebulon B Frigate was also the first Midi-scale Star Wars ship in 10 years. But beyond all these formalities, the reason this set comes in first place is because the design is just that good. Every tiny detail this vehicle contains is replicated wonderfully, and the shaping is just to die for. This set fires on all cylinders, and it feels extra special because of the bizarre stories surrounding it in 2020. But that is just my list. Please comment with your list down below. Also, while you're at it, please consider liking this video, subscribing to this channel, clicking that bell for new video notifications, and maybe becoming a channel member. All that goes a long way for me making more videos like the one you just watched. This has been the Brickologist. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out. God bless. Bye-bye.